Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And we continue our series Intro into Dungeons and Dragons with the 3 pillars of the game. We're going to start this video by thanking our awesome sponsor, Easy Roller Dice, for all your dice rolling needs. You can look down in the description where you can find a link to Easy Roller Dice as well as a one-time promo code for 20% off anything over there. Go get some Easy Roller Dice.
All right, so we're continuing our intro to D&D, and today we're going to talk about the 3 pillars of Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes, so they are exploration, social interaction, and combat.
Now, it is entirely possible to play a game using only a portion of these, but we're gonna break down what each of them are, why they're integral to the game, how you can use them, and how you can take them out of the game if you so choose.
Now, up until this point, we've been very heavily in the combat pillar of D&D.
Very much involved in the mechanics of what the actual game is. So that's where that starts. Let's start there. Combat, it's when your character is using the mechanics of the game to engage with an adversary through the use of your character's skills and abilities, typically to damage, injure, or kill said adversary.
Yeah, I feel like that one is the most self-explanatory and easy of the 3 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also one of the most common in the game that you're going to be used to. Many of your race, class, and other features revolve around facilitating combat in the game. So anytime there is aggression that is being physically expressed in the game, you are in the combat pillar.
Absolutely. So easy peasy, that one's, aside. So now we have exploration and social interaction. Now, I think social interaction is important if we look at what happens in the real world. People engage with each other, via electronics or face-to-face, and you're having conversations, you're building relationships, and with that's social interaction.
Yeah. The funny thing about social interaction in a game like D&D is it can actually run the whole gamut and whole swath of things, right? Because social interaction can be the huge part of the exploration elements of the game and the combat elements of the game. And I'm not actually talking about, where you're finding things or you're fighting people. What I'm talking about is the mechanics for social interactions can mirror combat, but instead of resolving the conflicts through violence, you're doing it through interaction and words. Same thing with exploration. You can use social interaction to actually explore more of the world. So it has this. I think it has the broadest applications in the game, personally.
So when let's say you get into combat and you're fighting orcs or hobgoblins, what have you, and you feel that things are going well for your side, going poorly for the other side, and you would rather move this into a social interaction rather than fight it all out, you can call for a surrender. You can call for a one-on-one duel with the enemy group's leader and change the dynamics of that combat through social interaction. So you have the ability to make these sweeping changes just as you would expect by using your voice and using the actions that your character would do and say.
Not only that, the social actions can be incredibly important to the outcomes of your games and what's happening. If you look at shows like Game of Thrones, where so much is done through social interactions in that show, lands are lost and won, lives are saved and taken. So it can be a very important part of the game. It can also be a lot of fun and very interesting as well.
Using the case of Game of Thrones, we're going back several seasons when Daenerys gets the Unsullied. And it's that interaction that she purchases, all of them, and then is able to, lay siege to the town. There's no fight there. It's clearly narrated as to what's going on, that wouldn't be rolled. You wouldn't combat that out. That's just fluff at that point.
So now let's look at the third pillar of D&D, and that is exploration. This one feels like the most overlooked.
And it can be, because not everyone is ready and prepared to go to the lengths it takes to properly do the exploration, because it's tying in senses and new experiences that some players don't find the enjoyment in, when it's like, oh, well, I'm going to this new place, or I'm going to a new place again. Like, all right, can we get through the descriptions? I want to get to my part.
With that being said, it does create interesting ways to interact with the environment and possibly use skills that you don't use as often, like your athletics, acrobatics, knowledge history, knowledge arcana, survival, knowledge nature, like all these knowledge-based skills. Now, putting knowledge in front of them, they're just skills in the book, I know. But all the knowledge-based skills and survival and some of the physical skills, they're going to get a lot more play. And anytime you're using them heavily, there's a good possibility you're in the exploration phase of the game.
Now, so exploration is just that. You're going to explore. Doesn't matter whether you're looking at, whether it's some kind of cave, a new environment, ruins, you're there to explore and see what's there. So this is where you get a little bit of the mystery of what's behind the next corner. You don't know what's going on. If you're in town and you've been there before, oh, this is where the apothecary is. This is where the temple is. This is where, the king lives. Okay, great. I know where these things are. When you're out in the wilds, when you're exploring these places, at any point in time, combat could happen. A trap could go off. Someone could appear literally out of nowhere, because there's ambush monsters in this game, and now you're in the thick of it, and you had no clue.
Well, natural hazards as well, and some of them you're aware of, and some of them you aren't. Clearly, like some things like deadfalls and stuff like that, you can see, but you might still have to overcome them, or ravines or things like that. But that being said, if you're in a new city or a new town or village, that can be exploration as well. Exploration happens anytime you're in an environment that you, the player, and your character are unaware of, that it's new to you. You're exploring, you're learning new things, new information. These are excellent ways to peel back the lure of the world that you're playing in, whether it's a homebrew world that your DM has created or one of the pre-made campaign settings put out by a company. Like this is the part where you're going to get to learn about that stuff and enjoy more of the story elements of the world, not just the characters in it.
So let's look into how you could remove a pillar from the game. You should be using at least two. If you're just focusing on one, it's not really D&D. Would you agree on that one?
Well, it could be. It's not a role-playing game if you're just focusing on one of the pillars, and it'll probably have less appeal to the players and maybe the DM as well running it. I feel like it's more like a dimmer switch, right? You're going to focus on the things that you're more interested in, your players are more interested in. If they're more tactical, then there's going to be more combat. If they see themselves more as thespians, then there might be more role playing going on. Or maybe they're history buffs, or they like the story of the world itself, so they want to do the exploration. So I think at any given point that you should be trying to incorporate elements from all three pillars. But yes, you could limit it to two or even one, if that's what all your group wants to do.
Right.
If all your group wants to do is, tactical stuff in combat, you're pretty much going to be in that pillar nearly all the time. Maybe you don't do very much role playing at all. You don't worry about the backdrops and the sceneries and new places. And the same thing could be said for, social interactions, where you spend all your time in the courts of kings and nobility and making deals and manipulating politics as opposed to drawing steel or finding new places.
And so if you're looking for more combat, there are games out there, or dungeons out there that you can get into. And okay, you want all about exploration and combat, then you can get one of these dungeons. That mega dungeon, you're going to go in, you're going to fight stuff. It's a little bit more advanced board game. You can pick up right where you left off. Yay great. As Dave says, if you're looking for heavy on the role playing, a game in just convincing politics and law and that kind of stuff, you can get into that. The mechanics then tend to fall to the wayside a lot of times, because if all you're doing is using words, it's only those skills and not really the classes that become important. But all of it is entirely possible depending upon what you and your players, or you and your DM, are really interested in doing.
So the question is, which of the 3 pillars are you most interested in? Maybe you don't have a favorite. We got a place where we can talk about that. That is down in the comments below while you're at it. Like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget to check the link down in the description to get your Easy Roller Dice.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.